Is your business pootling along instead of firing on all cylinders? Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and frustrated? Do your dreams of financial freedom feel a long way off? Then this is the podcast for you. Little Voice, Big Business, with your host, Nadia Finer.
Welcome to Little Voice, Big Business with me, Nadia Finer, and my special guest today, the fabulous Kimra Luna. Now, I'm sure you've heard of Kimra. She's the ultimate freedom hacker and has become famous over the past couple of years for literally going from zero to millions of dollars. And I'm lucky enough to call Kimra one of my business buddies, and we first met a couple of years ago in Dallas at Off the Charts Live, Natalie Lucier's event, and since then we've kept in touch. I'm part of Kimra's Be True Brand You program, and yeah, we hang out whenever I'm in America. So finally I've managed to persuade Kimra to be on the podcast so that you can benefit from her amazing journey and experiences. Now, when we did this interview, we talked and talked and talked and it went on for hours, and I recognised the fact that maybe listening to a sort of 2-hour-long podcast is a bit full on, so I've chosen a chunk and we're going to focus on that bit. To give you a bit of background, she grew up in a very difficult family situation. She left home in her teens and became a band promoter on the punk rock scene, and that was her first taste of business. Then she met her husband, Seth, and they started to build a life together, but things were really, really tough and neither of them had any work. They went to live with Seth's parents and were on welfare, and at that point things were looking pretty bleak until eventually Seth got a job driving a delivery truck and they moved away from his parents. Kimra at that point was at home with a baby, and she's not one to rest on her laurels. She likes to be busy, as you're going to discover. So being of that mindset, so she launched a Misfit Mum blog all about her lifestyle as a mum, the food that she was eating as a vegan, and grew her blog and YouTube channel massively. She had, I think it was around 100,000 visitors a month, which is amazing. And she wasn't monetizing it though, so although it was huge, although she was cranking out the content, videos, blogs every day, she was busy but not making any money. So Kimra wanted to change that, and it was something she was pondering until a family friend got in touch. And that's where we're going to continue the story from that point where this guy had got in touch with Kimra and was really intrigued as to how she managed to drive so much traffic and create such an amazing community around her blog. So over to Kimra really, and you're going to see from this interview that Kimra talks quite a lot. So at certain points I did find it quite difficult to get a word in edgeways, but that's fine. She's got some amazing advice and stories to tell.
Yeah, so my family friend was like, how are you getting all this traffic? And so I tell him, Pinterest. And he's like, what is this Pinterest thing? I tell him about it, and he's like, you should teach my audience how to do this, right? He asked me to do a presentation, and he asked me to do it the next day. He was like, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. I'm like, tomorrow? He's like, yeah, I do this Google Hangout like every Wednesday. Like, you can just come on tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't even know how to use Keynote. And I say to him, like, how am I supposed to present this? He's like, oh, just write it on a Word document. And so I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll do that. So I wrote up all of this stuff, like every single thing I knew about Pinterest, right? And I do the presentation. And it actually turned out pretty dang good. The content, at least. Me flubbing over my words, that happened pretty much the entire time from start to finish. But I was able to present good quality information. And at the end of the presentation, people were really just kind of blown away and really were like, wow, like, I didn't know, like, you know, you could do all this with Pinterest. And like, people just really loved it. And I ended up actually getting a few clients. Like, people were hiring me to help them with their Pinterest account. And the most peculiar thing happened with this is that actually turned me into a branding person. I thought I was like, oh, maybe I'll help people grow their social media followings. Like, I thought, oh, that's going to be my stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, they wanted me to help them with their Pinterest accounts, but their websites were so horrendous. You couldn't figure out where to click on anything. The graphics were bad. There was no photo shoots done. I mean, it was just bad on top of bad on top of bad. It was just so horrible. So I got 3 clients from that presentation.
That's amazing. And I think it shows, doesn't it, that when you give, and we were going to talk about this later, but we'll touch on it now. When you give value and you help people, you tend to get clients as a result. And it's not that they're going to think, oh, now I know everything, I'll go off and do it. Cheers, Kimra. Thanks very much, and they're never to be seen again. Because I see a lot of people kind of really struggling internally with this, you know, the weighing up of how much to give for free. So how much advice should I give people? What if I tell them everything they need to know and then they don't need me anymore? And I've always looked to you as someone who does a really amazing job at giving value. You give so much. And from what I see, it just makes people want to work with you more. Is that what you experience?
Yeah, that's definitely been the experience. So, you know, back then I got like these, you know, clients and things like that from that presentation, and I was just giving and giving, giving. And there was actually a few people who emailed me who said that I gave too much. They were like, you should have been selling that content. You should have shared all that publicly. Like, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it went completely against who I was. And yeah, so I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna ignore those people and just focus on these few people that became my clients, right? And so I really helped these people reshape their entire brand. I mean, things were just so cluttered with their brand. Like, you couldn't even figure out like how to purchase something. I'm like, you're worried about your traffic. You don't even have everything set up right, you know?
Yeah.
So I was able to help these people. And that's when I came up with the idea, I should make a Pinterest course, right? So I spent about a week putting together this Pinterest course. I figured out how to use Keynote finally. So, you know, I'm like, oh, how to use Keynote? Like, I literally had to Google how to use Keynote because I had always been making videos where I was just like holding my phone up. Like, I didn't screen share or any of that stuff. So I had to figure out how to do that, which I learned a lot of that just from, you know, good old YouTube, you know, learned everything I needed to know. So I started making, you know, slide presentations, and turned out nobody that followed my blog wanted to buy this course because guess what? They were all just a bunch of moms and they did not care about growing their blog traffic with Pinterest, which was like the name of my course. Like, it was like blog traffic, something, I can't remember the name of it. So something about blog traffic, right? Because I got blog traffic. So I knew how to do that.
Were you surprised at this point?
At first I was like, man, like nobody's buying this. And then I was just like, these people don't even care about this, you know? So I was just like, all right. So that was a good learning lesson that anybody listening can learn from Kimra is don't create a product without asking your audience like what they really care about and like what their concerns are and their struggles are, because it just didn't make any sense. Like, it was stupid. Like, I shouldn't even done that. Like, it was just not a smart business move.
Well, it's smart in some ways because it was something that you had been asked to teach other people. So you knew that some people needed it, but it just wasn't those people. And I see that that mistake does happen a lot where, you know, people create content or courses or advice solving a problem, and they're either offering it to the wrong people
Yeah.
or it's a problem that they struggle with and they didn't bother to check whether anybody else struggled with it too. And so yeah, I think it's so obvious when you look back at it that actually much better to provide something that people are asking for to those people rather than randomly offering it, like standing in a market stall going, buy my Pinterest course, and they're like, but we don't even know what Pinterest is and we don't have businesses.
Exactly. It's hilarious to think back about it. And the funny thing is that I made a course creation mistake again later, which we can talk about in a bit. But the main thing that I learned from that was like, okay, I need a new audience because I really wanted to teach people social media, teach people how to use tools, teach people how to grow communities because I had a raving community.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't pin, people would like email me and be like, why aren't you pinning today? And I'm like, Pinterest isn't even like very social type of platform. I mean, it is a social media platform, but people don't even normally really comment very much on it. It's really just pinning, and liking, putting little hearts on things. Like it's
Unheard
and
of
people
to
would
be
email me
emailing.
like, why aren't you pinning? Like, I mean, people really, I had these, raving fans. Plus I had like my Facebook group too. And people in that group, same thing. It was like, they really just, wanted to see any content that I had. They were just like content. They loved my content. And, I got this book called The Desire Map at the end of 2013. I bought it for myself for Christmas, which is a $30 book. So, I mean, that was like a big stretch for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm spending $30 on myself. Like it was like so much at the time. Cause I mean, I had my blog and I had all this traffic, but it was like, we were, barely paying the bills. So I'm like, all right, I buy this book. So I read the book because, I saw a million of her ads during the month of December. So I was like, okay, I got to buy this book. So I get the book and I start reading it, and it really helped me realize like the things I truly, really wanted. And the thing is I didn't want to teach people health and wellness stuff. Like that wasn't my real strong desire. Like my strong desire was to teach them other knowledge. Like I really enjoy teaching. I pride myself in being a good teacher. I work very hard on becoming a better teacher all the time consistently by like re-recording my programs and revamping my content, and like I really just want to be great at teaching. And that was like one of my core desire things is like I want to share knowledge, and I felt I had a bunch inside of my head, and I was like, I need to get this knowledge out, and my knowledge from my perspective, because there was other people who, like I said, had emailed me like, oh, you're sharing too much information. And I was like, no, like I have a different perspective on this. I believe you can share tons of information and grow raving fans and grow massive communities, which is what I did. I'm like, dude, I got 25,000 subscribers on YouTube without even knowing what like Google keywords were, or like, I grew these people just naturally. And I was like, anybody can do this. I was like, people can do this. They can grow. So I end up scrapping my entire The Misfit Mama blog completely. It is deleted off of the internet.
Was that scary at that moment? Were you kind of carried away by the excitement of the new project?
No, I was excited to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I want a clean slate. And I'm a clean slate kind of girl because I've traveled a lot. I mean, I used to just live out of my backpack. It's like, I don't need stuff. Like, I don't need to like have stuff just tagging along with me. Like me, it's just like if there's clutter in my house, I put it in the trash can, get it out of here. Like, I don't need to have like all this, stuff with me. And that's what the blog felt like. It felt like I was just dragging something along. So I was just like, all right, time to just, cut the rope. And it was out of here. And I was so happy when I did it. And I mean, I had started my current business, my KimraLuna.com site with my Freedom Hackers brand. It started that in May 2014, and it did take me, I think, like a month or two before I really was like, okay, like my Kimra Luna brand's really building the traction. I'm gonna like just chop that other one off. So it's like I did kind of wait a little bit because like I said, I had a big following there. I had a lot of people, and after I axed it, I mean, it was just thousands of emails from people like, what happened to your blog? Like, I miss those, because I shut down my YouTube channel. Like, so people were like, where's all the YouTube videos? Like, and most people, I'm like, I don't even know how they got my email address. They were just like stalking me online to like find my email address so they could be like, where is all your stuff? And I was just like, sorry, like, I did a whole new transition. I have a new brand that I'm doing. And, and so, yeah, it was good though. It was a relief when I kind of gave that thing the axe. I was like, yes, now I'm free and I could just, focus on the stuff I focus on now, which turned into Be True Brand You and all my clients and teaching social media and tools and kind of becoming this how-to kind of girl. And yeah, so it was a good evolution though. I loved it.
I think, it was really an interesting time deciding when to let go of something that's still got potential, but you're ready for new things. And it's kind of assessing, do I think there's more potential in this new idea? And understanding that, yeah, people might be upset with you and harass you and stalk you for a while because they miss your videos. But at the same time, it's about, your idea of success. It's not being kind of held ransom by people, who miss your videos. You've got to move on. And
I did feel almost, because I was creating so much content, there were times during that year where, yes, things were very fun, but there were other times where it was like, am I doing this for me or am I doing it for them?
Yeah.
And yes, you want to do things for your audience, like I want to create, really high quality content for them, but I didn't have like the why at the end of it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have the reason why I was creating the content for them. It was just like, I was just throwing it out there, And so I think that's what the big difference, a big shift happened with like my current business is like, I was able to like create content for people, but I could see them having tangible results like right then and there. They're like, oh my gosh, Kimra, I watched your webinar. Look at what I made. I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. Awesome. Oh, I watched your presentation. I grew my email list today. I got like 20 new subscribers. I was like, oh my gosh, like that, congratulations. That's amazing. Like it was like things were more tangible, and maybe that was something I needed to see. Because with health and wellness stuff, sometimes it's like years before people are really having results. So maybe that was a big part of why I wanted a shift. Maybe I just needed some of that speed, but I was like, I have a lot of knowledge. I want to keep giving it and keep giving it and keep giving it.
And I think I'm really glad we've talked in detail about the blog, because I know I kind of came across you quite near the beginning of your journey with the Kimra Luna brand, and people were like, where did she come from? She's just achieved this overnight success. It's huge. How did she get so big so quickly? And, it was pretty meteoric.
Yeah.
But you didn't just rock up and go, right, today I'm going to do this. You'd put years of work in, to learn your trades, to grow your first blog, to build your tribe, to create a brand. You'd done all of that first. And I think sometimes people don't necessarily see that.
Yeah, there was a lot of people when I was first starting off, and especially once my launches started getting, like my first launch was like 650, or not 650, it was 65,000. Then I did like a promo after that was like 40,000. People were like, how the heck did this chick make like $100,000 in like less than 6 months? So like, what the hell is happening? And a lot of them, they didn't know I had like all this current background experiences. So they were like, oh, she's a fake. She doesn't know what she's talking about. They're like starting like, hate forums on me and like all this stuff. I mean, it got kind of crazy at that point. But I was like, I don't have anything to prove to them. Like, I know where I have been. And I was like, if they've listened to any podcast interviews I've ever been on, they would know my backstory. But no, they just decided to judge me instead by the few things that they saw. And some of them even creepily stalking me, watching my live streams just to find something negative to say about me. Those people just really, they don't have a life, really. And I was used to haters. I grew up in a small town and I had a giant pink mohawk, all my clothes with all my studs and patches. And I wore crazy makeup and I was used to being ridiculed and mocked and treated, like that. I was used to that. So to me, when they said that, I was like, fine, screw you guys. I don't care. I'm going to just keep going on serving people and helping people to the best of my ability. It doesn't matter what you say. And, you do have to have a lot of that grit, a lot of that resilience. I feel like my childhood gave me tons of resilience. I was raised in a very abusive home. I was raised where people were not nice to me at all. And, I had to really be tough through that. And that is something that has given me, the ability to be like, if someone says something negative to me, I'm just like, screw you. I literally send people a picture. It's a hand giving the bird and it's covered in glitter. And it says, here's some gold glitter. I send it, like if someone sends me a hate email, boom, that's the first thing they get. I say, I don't care what you say. Take this. It doesn't matter to me.
I found it really inspiring actually watching you deal with that kind of behaviour, but in a very, straightforward, not overly aggressive kind of way, and just kind of saying, you know what, I just don't care. I mean, I've experienced it a little bit, and I think other people, we tend to think, oh, we're going to start this business, it's going to be all nice and fluffy, and I'm going to sit behind my computer, and I'm going to just write nice things, and people are going to pay me all this money, and it's going to be amazing. But actually, business is kind of harsh, and actually, I've experienced some pretty crappy things involving having to like sue people, legal wrangles, like bullying, like awful stuff. And I think sometimes what I see is that someone gets one bad comment, one complaint, or one slightly negative, comment on Facebook, and they're like, oh, it's all gone to crap. Nobody likes me. It's all over. Yeah. And I think, we do need to have thicker skin. It's not all unicorns and glitter all the time.
Yeah, it isn't. And I like to be honest with people. Like even with my Be True Brand New students, like when they're in my program, I'm like, hey, once you get out there, you're going to have people that don't like you. That's just it, plain and simple. Like not everybody likes Oprah. Not everybody likes, celebrities. Celebrities, they have a million fans and then a million haters, It's like once you're out in the public world, there can be some people that don't like you and you can't please everyone. I mean, when I was in my health and wellness blog, and especially being a vegan blog, I had a lot of haters that were just like, oh, you shouldn't feed your kids like that. Like, that's so unhealthy. They're going to be sick. I mean, I had it like hardcore people like being so mean and rude to me. And I'm like, I have the healthiest kids ever. They don't get sick at all. And so I'm like, you obviously don't know me. I'm like, come and see in my life and you will see my kids are perfectly healthy and perfectly happy doing MMA and dancing all the time. Like there's nothing wrong, right? But the thing is you can't just go and like say that to every single freaking hater, because trust me, there'll be lots of them. All you got to do, delete and block, delete and block, delete and block, like that becomes your best friend, is the delete button. It's like delete, banning people from your page. Like you just have to, and you can't just let it get to you, because I'm just like, whatever, like that person's an idiot, like they're lost. I've even had people on my Facebook ads, and the video was about teaching people how to do Facebook ads. I've spent over $100,000 in Facebook ads. Like, I know what the hell I'm talking about. And there was people on there like, oh, how could somebody with blue hair like know what they're even doing? I'm like, just because my hair is blue, I don't know how to post Facebook ads? Like, I'm a freaking master at Facebook ads, And they're like commenting on my ad. So I commented back. I said, actually, I have taught over 10,000 people how to create Facebook ads over the past year and a half. Do you want to be one of those people, or do you just want to be a dick on my Facebook ad? And they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize. And I was like, oh yeah, you didn't realize. All you're doing is being a hater on freaking Facebook. And the guy actually ended up joining my presentation. He sent me an email apologizing to me. He was like, it was really, really great content. He was like, I was like, yeah, don't judge a book by its cover. So, I mean, sometimes a hater can turn into someone who actually appreciates you and likes you. It's very rare, but every once in a while it happens. And, I'm going to say something back to somebody if they say it on my ad, which I am paying money for, which is going out to thousands of people. I'm going to say something back to that person. Like, I'm not going to just let them be a hater on my freaking ad. I'm going to be like, no, like, why are you hating on me? Like, what's the real reason? And they're like, oh, look at the piercings in your face and tattoos, and that's so unprofessional. I'm like, unprofessional? Do you not know that musicians are professional, and most of them have tattoos and piercings and like crazy looking hair and crazy makeup, and they're making millions? Obviously they know what they're doing, right? Like, so who's to say what's professional or not? So it's just, you get a lot of judgments when you get out there, but it's really just about like, not letting them judge you back. And sometimes when someone says something, I'll ask around with my friends, like, to help me come up with a good comeback. So, like I'll be like I'll like take a screenshot, and like message my friends and be like, hey, what's a good comeback for this person? And we're like, figuring it out. And then I'll like put something like really good, like really good comeback to the person. But
I love that. That's so cool. And I knew we'd get ranting. I knew we would. So good work. Definitely wouldn't want to mess with you, that's for sure. Obviously, we've touched on Facebook ads, we've talked a bit about Facebook groups where you build your tribe and your first ever webinar. So it seems to me from the outside that those things and live streaming have been integral to you building your business. Would you agree?
Yes. Webinars have really been kind of the big essence, the big core of it. And then when live streaming came out, I started like implementing that into it. And I mean, live streaming has been around a long time, but it was mostly like for video gamers. Like it really wasn't like something like marketers would use. So, I definitely knew that webinars were my thing. And, my first experience with that was like way back in 2013 when my friend was like, hey, get on this Google Hangout. That was like my first experience with it. And after that, I was like, oh, I think I could do some of these on my own, and like I can make some slides and I can like do this, so I start my Kimra Luna brand, and the first webinar I did was on PicMonkey. So I did it 1 week, and I had got like 500 people on my list, right, from that one presentation. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I grew my list with like 500 people in like a week. Like this is crazy. But the presentation ended up being like so long, which of course I was learning, right? So I was like, okay, this is long. So I was like, next week I'll split it and I'll do it like a 2-part, like masterclass sort of thing. And so I did it the next week. I ended up getting another 500 people. So I grew my list by like 1,000 people in like 2 weeks just from doing a presentation on how to use PicMonkey.
Did you run ads to that?
Yes. Yeah. And I even ran video ads. So I was so nervous. Like I have the video of it because it's really funny, but I was like so nervous, and I'm like, hi, I'm Kimra Luna. Like I really love PicMonkey. I'm kind of a PicMonkey junkie. Check out this presentation. Like it was like really cheesy, like little video. And I pushed it out on Facebook ads because I'm a big fan of James Wedmore. He's one of my mentors. And at the time I was just like, what's this video? You can do a video for an ad? Like I was like, wow, I'm going to try that out. And apparently it's really cheap. And I still do video ads and they're very inexpensive. It's like 1 cent a view. I'm like, dude, like
exactly what I've been doing, and it's been amazing. Finally got the guts to do it, and it's 1p, so 1 cent a view, and then you can retarget, can't you? So that you can retarget your ads to all the people who've watched your videos. So it's a much cheaper way of doing it.
Yeah, and that's actually a newer thing. Back when I first started, they didn't even have that option. Like even back video ads, it was really cool because you know how they had like the 20% rule for like how much text could be on the ad? For video ads, you put like a screen snap with like the whole thing covered in text, and like it wouldn't like deduct it or like say like, oh, you can't have this out or whatever. Like so it was like they didn't have all their rules defined back then, so it was pretty cool. And so I did video ads for my first ever Facebook ads. I never posted Facebook ads before. And so I'm just going to do it, like, and the way I learned Facebook ads, because people ask me all the time, like, oh, did you buy a bunch of courses and things like that? I was like, actually, I watched like 50 webinar presentations on like how to do Facebook ads. I would just, if anybody was teaching, I signed up for it. And then I have a different family friend who he has an online business and he was doing Facebook ads. And so he told me like a few like kind of extra little tricks here and there. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it like how he says to do it, And so it's worked out amazing for me. I've been able to grow my entire audience with it. And as I started making money, like I did these first webinars, and after the webinars, I didn't even pitch anything. I just told people like, hey, check out my group, like I have a cool Facebook group, like join my group. I'm really trying to build a community around all this sort of content. And so people were joining my group, but I really wasn't pitching anything. But what would happen is people would email me and say, hey, can you teach me how to do this privately? They're like, I don't know how to set up a Google Hangout, Kimra. I don't know how to set up my lead pages. Like, can you show me how to do this one-on-one? And I was like, sure. And I wasn't planning on like becoming like a coach per se. And I still am not a coach. Like I do not have coaching training. Like that's not something I have, nor do I necessarily even want to have. So I started teaching people how to set up the technical aspects of their business. So like making sure their website is polished, like figuring out how to use their PayPal account or their Stripe account, like figuring out how to put all the pieces together. And so I basically was a person who could like, okay, here's all the puzzle pieces. I'm going to help you put them all in place so that your business can actually run and function, right? So I started working with a few clients doing that. I got like 5 clients within like the first 6 weeks of business, which was like equaling like $10,000. So I start in May 2014, and within 6 weeks, I had already made $10,000. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is crazy. And at that point, I asked my husband, I said, I think you might need to leave your job because I need to either get more clients or I need to like start working on my program so that I can sell some more digital stuff. And I needed time to create the content. So yeah, so he decides, okay, I'll quit my job. It took about almost 2 months before he really finally was out of his job and then was helping me with my business. And so, I started making all this money. And from those first 5 clients, that's where the idea of Be True Brand You came from. Because I was like, okay, like I want to help with the branding aspects. Like I want to help people get into the core, understand their strengths, understand their weaknesses, like really understand who they really truly want to serve and the things they really genuinely care about. So I really wanted to help people work through that. And I have a personal development background. I've been studying personal development for, I'd say, almost 10 years now. I've been studying personal development. So I really wanted to help people get that out of them, because I feel like even like with my, the Misfit Mama blog and things like that, it was me. It was genuinely me. And that's why people loved it so much. And so I'm like, that's really the essence of a personal brand. And that's why I called the program Be True Brand You, because I know that it's you that is the brand, so I wanted to really help people conjure that out of themselves. But then I wanted to show them the technical stuff so they didn't have that big hurdle, because there's a lot of programs out there that don't cover that sort of thing. And that's fine if they don't, because some people just aren't techie. They won't even know how to train on it anyway. But I feel like it was just such a big hurdle for people. Like one of my clients, I remember she would call me crying because she couldn't get her Google Hangout to be set up. Like she's just like, Kimra, I've been crying for like 2 hours. Like I just cannot do this, And so, and I'm just like, here you go. Let's, and screen shared and showed her exactly to set it up. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe how hard that was. But now she does live streams like every day now. Like she's done so many Google Hangouts. Like she's like, can't even count now. Like it's just, but she just needed somebody to guide her through that. And so I was like, well, I'm going to create a program around all of these things that these clients are asking me and sometimes even crying to me on the phone about. I'm going to create a program that's going to help people with these things. I had no clue if a lot of people were going to want to buy this. So I'm like, I'm going to create a sales page, because I was like, I don't want to create all the content, because I was like, this is going to be a lot of content. I was like, Kimra got a lot of knowledge in her brain. Like, this is going to be a lot of content. So I created a sales page. And at this point, I was still growing my list like little bits by little bits. And I had maybe about 2,000 people on my list when the launch started. And the program was 1,200 at the time. And I was doing webinars once a week, just to keep giving value to my audience. And then on one of the webinars, or before the webinar, I said, there's gonna be a big announcement at the end of the webinar. So be sure to watch all the way to the end. There's gonna be a big announcement. And so I had the sales page up, and it was like $1,200. I said, this is what the whole program is gonna be about. This is what we're gonna be going through. The content's gonna be dripped every single week, like all this sort of stuff. And I ended up actually making sales. I was like, whoa, like people actually want this? Oh, now I gotta create it, But it was really surprising to me. And with that, I also had there was like an upsell on there that was like $3,200. And the first person who purchased was the $3,200 thing. So like the first sale that came on my phone was like, oh, you've got $3,200. I was like, what? What is happening? Like the launch had just started, and I was like, this is completely insane. And so I kept promoting it for about a month. And so I just kept doing webinar presentations, and I kept promoting it. It was like, yeah, this sort of content, if you like this on the presentation, we're going to be having this, but like more in depth inside of the course. And so I just kept doing that. And I ended up making $65,000 in sales. And that was just so massive, because I went from like my Misfit Mama blog to like making barely $500 in a month. Like that was like the best month, was like $500. And then all of a sudden I had these clients, I made $10,000. I started putting some of that money back into like my Facebook ads to promote my webinars. And then I did this launch, and my email list was like only 3,000 people, and I made $65,000. Like
That's
it was
insane. I mean, I was involved at that point, so I was kind of watching this all go down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing that you did, whether or not you knew you were doing it, I suspect you do. You'd been creating all this amazing value, the way you sold on webinars. So you're, laying it out in a really kind of straightforward way, where you say, I've taught you this. If you want more, buy this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a kind of non-sleazy way, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really all I did. Like, I'm not a hard pitch. I have actually never taken sales training. I've actually purchased a few courses, but then like never went through them because I was like, nah, like I'll just tell people like it is and it'll work for me. So I've never had, proper sales training. I mean, I definitely have that kind of just natural way of being like, oh, hey, like this is just some of it. Like I can't share every detail on a presentation because if I do, you're going to be confused, you're going to be, upset or frustrated because it's like too much information. I can only give you so much right now. And I already gave you some great action steps you can take. So if you can't afford my program, whatever, go take these action steps today. Like promise me you'll take those action steps. But guess what? If you want support and help and guidance throughout the way, check out my freaking program. Like it's awesome. Like go check it out. And nowadays, I mean, even in the beginning, like I didn't have any testimonials for it. Like people just trusted me because they saw I gave so much value on the presentation. They're like, oh my gosh, if she gives that much value here, we're going to get tons inside of the program, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly. I just feel like that's so important. And if there's one thing that our listeners today, one thing that you can take away from this conversation is this around value. Giving value, sharing as much as you possibly can from your heart, not through some kind of sleazy sort of strategy. It's just because you want to help people, that you want to help them get to a point where they're able to do great things themselves. And then just simply saying exactly like you said there, if you want more, I can't teach you everything right now, but if you want more, sign up for my frickin' program.
Exactly. And the launches, like that first launch, I mean, it was a massive learning experience for me because I really wanted to do, like this, like the 4-part video launch thing. And I was like, I don't script. Like I can't script videos, you know what I mean? Like I just talk and then hopefully it turns out good, right? So I was like, I don't have time to script videos. I can't get a professional makeup artist. And by the way, I was pregnant at this time. I just found out I was pregnant. So I was like, nauseous, morning sickness. I was like, I'm not going to be like filming these videos and I'm like nauseous and morning sickness. Like that's not going to happen. So I decided, I'm just going to do webinar presentations. That's what my audience likes and I enjoy doing them. So that's what I'm going to do. And there was actually one time I remember during that where I had created like slides for the presentation and I had created a workbook for the presentation. And when I went live, the slides didn't work at all. Like they just wouldn't work. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I cannot use my slides. And so all I did was I just grabbed the workbook and just went through the workbook. And everybody freaking loved it. They're like, this is the most amazing thing ever. Like, and I was just like, this was like it wasn't even all the content I wanted to share because the slides weren't working. But it's like, I had to just go with the flow. And like I said before, like all of that from like my punk rock world and even in my childhood, it was kind of like something bad happened, you just like figured it out. Like, and you have to do it like on the fly. I've had it where I've been on a presentation where like my website crashed and like I had to like put my Google Hangout like on a lead page real fast and send it out to my list and like post it on my Facebook group. And there was still 1,000 people that showed up.
See, I think we tend to kind of set ourselves these impossible kind of targets, standards, whatever, and actually stuff goes wrong. And I think one of the key things about being an entrepreneur, well, one of the many really key things is flexibility and just being able to roll with the punches. And some of the things you've talked to us today about, I think we're going to kind of keep with us forever. The idea that people are going to hate you, but whatever, we just flip them the finger, covered in glitter, whatever. They can just get on with it. They have no lives. So that's one useful thing. We're going to roll with the punches. We're going to just get on with it. And if stuff goes wrong, we're not going to cry about it. We just get up and carry on. We do things our own way, right? So
yes,
if you are a little bit different or you like doing things in a certain way, you have blue hair or a little voice, you just get on with being yourself and your people will be drawn to you and they'll love you and they'll be interested to learn from you. And I think that's really, really key and important. So just quickly, I could talk to you all day, but I know you're very busy and important. Your program, Be True Brand You, you're running it again, aren't you, this year?
Yes, very, very excited for the new class. This past class, and even people from the class before that like redid the content, I have had amazing results. I've been interviewing people from the program over the past week And I mean, it's just been incredible. It's like my heart is just like so just like bursting with like the results people are having because they're able to like finally have freedom or like finally have confidence and like finally able to get their message out there. And some of them finally able to make money. One person, she had been working on her passion for 20 years and still hadn't been able to really make any traction. And she's like, I'm finally able to like make money. So it's just really been a very incredible journey, working with my students. And there was someone who asked me the other day, they're like, how are your students able to get such good results? And I was like, because I actually care about them. I'm like, if you don't care about your students and you're just seeing it as a number, they're not going to get results. But when you actually spend time in the group, like one of my friends who lives here locally, I was telling him about like my different students. I was like, oh, like I'm really excited. Like one of my students, like, she's doing this, or this person, they launched their podcast. This other person, like she would, has had like 5 or 6 articles on Huffington Post now. And like, I'm like so excited. And he's like, how do you know all this stuff about your students? I was like, because I pay attention to them. Like I want them to have results. And I mean, he was just blown away. He was just like, he couldn't believe I knew so much about my students and like knew their names, like knew what they did. So it's really something I feel like not every single teacher out there can cultivate that because it's not their heart. My heart is truly in it. And that's why Be True Brand You has been able to produce so many 6-figure and multiple 6-figure earners. It's been able to help people be able to move the places they want to move in the world and be able to retire their husbands and just live their life of their dreams. And I really look forward to this next class because I feel like even people, it's like they get there and then when they do Be True Brand You again, it's like it happens like even faster and they get more momentum and it's like the whole synergy of it. And I really feel like, this next round of Be True Brand You, I'm going to be so happy with the people we're going to attract this year. It's going to be amazing.
It is going to be amazing. It's always amazing. So where should people go if they want to find out more information?
So Be True Brand You, the doors are opening November 25th, if you're listening to this before that, and the doors close December 15th. So you got to get in by December 15th. And if you go to BeTrueBrandYou.com, you can learn about the different courses that are in the program. I do cover a lot of technical training, which is something that not a lot of people cover, but I feel is very important and crucial. And we have a lot of challenges and contests. And this year I have tons of amazing new bonus trainers coming in to do extra trainings. It's kind of like the course that never ends almost. So, it's like, this is a song that never ends. Like Be True Brand You is like, this is the course that never ends. Like I keep, adding more value and giving as much support as I possibly can. So BeTrueBrandYou.com is the best place to find that. And if you want to like learn and like get some free trainings from me, like before the course opens, you can always head over to freedomhackers.com. I have a lot of free content over there where you can learn more about me and learn more about my trainings that I do.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kimra. And I mean, I can safely say that this sounds so cheesy and weird, but discovering you all those years ago, it did really change the way I do business because actually without your program, I would never have gone down the whole Little Voice Big Business route in the first place. I would probably still be wondering how to stand out from the crowd. There's a gazillion business coaches out there, so I remember kind of wondering how the heck I would differentiate myself from everybody else, and kind of discovering you, getting to know you, doing your program was one of the key things that helped me to do that. So I thank you.
You're very welcome. And it's been really, really great seeing your growth, seeing all the connections you've been able to create through the program and being able to see you be yourself, and I feel like, someone like you who you are a bit introverted, and you have like this sweet little voice. Sometimes in the online space, people like that can really kind of get almost like smashed out, but you have been able to differentiate yourself and really like be your true authentic self. And that's my whole goal of Be True Brand You, is to help people find that. So I'm so grateful you have found that. And I'm so grateful that you have interviewed me and I've been able to share and talk a little bit about the program with your audience.
Brilliant, thanks Kimra. And then next time I think we will I want to have a rant about the changes the government can make to their policy to support people starting businesses and particularly helping those get off social benefits. But that can be for another day. We'll talk about that another day. Well, thanks for tuning in, and thank you for joining us, Kimra. It's been brilliant, as always.
Thank you.
Are you struggling to make money in your business? You're working your butt off for so little return, it's not even funny. Sometimes it feels like you've lumbered yourself with an expensive hobby, not a business.
I need a dollar, that's what I need.
Imagine bringing in $5,000 a month, every month. What would you be able to do? Travel?
Last call for passengers on flight Air France 2049 to Paris Charles de Gaulle.
Spend more time relaxing. Hit the shops? Sounds good, doesn't it? But getting beyond the pennies to those $5,000 months is tricky. There are so many things you could be doing, it's hard to know where to start. You're busy all the time, working so hard. And yet you're just not making any money. It's so overwhelming. Everywhere you look, other people seem to have nailed it. You can't help but compare yourself to them. How can you possibly stand out? Nadia specialises in strategy and support for female entrepreneurs. If you want to grow your business and make more money without working any harder, Nadia is your girl. Less work, more money, more fun. Sounds good. Introducing the Profit Pack to help women like you go big.
You're out to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. You'll find he is a wizard, a whiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever, oh, ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things.
10 years of Nadia's expertise brought together for you in one place for the first time. Let Nadia guide you along the profit path so that you're moving day by day towards those $5,000 months. Step-by-step modules with videos and workbooks, support from Nadia in the Facebook group when you need it. A super friendly Facebook group with support and encouragement from your fellow female entrepreneurs. If you're sick of working crazy hours for tiny profits, join the Profit Pack and get your business working for you instead of the other way around. Come join the Profit Pack. Visit nadiafiner.com/pack to register today. Little voice, big business.